Hey YouTube, it's your girl Chic. It's been a minute since I've been on this channel chatting with you all. Come on in, come on in. Like the video, like, share, and subscribe. You know the routine. Come on in. I wanted to switch it up today and just talk about all things Diddy and Cassie. It's a lot of moving parts with the trial, with the situation. I've been engulfed in it probably like the last day and a half. Yeah, I've learned a lot of disturbing information, but I want to talk about it. Just do a temperature check to see how you all feel about it. You all know my thing is mental health. My background is clinical mental health counseling. So I want to talk about just what I've heard, what some of you have heard, and maybe touch on some things just from a mental health aspect as to what we may be able to see playing out when it comes to just trauma bonding, PTSD, depression, anxiety, and all of that. So come on in, come on in. We're going to talk about it today. We're going to talk about it today. I have a list of the witnesses that are expected to get on the stand over the 8 week period. The trial's 8 weeks, so it'll be about it's about 8 weeks. I think it's projected to end around the 4th of July, around the holiday. So that'll put us at like right at 8 weeks, like they said, from when it started on Cinco de Mayo, May 5th. May 5th. So let me know in the comments if you've been following it. Hey, Dr. J, how are you? Surprise, surprise. I'm on this channel. I'm on this channel because as of late, I am more tapped in with what's going on with the Diddy trial versus all things politics. So I have to probably, get caught up on that with my notes on my other channel as far as just all the things that's going, all things Trump. How are you? Hey, Hannah, how are you? You all hit double tap the screen, hit the like button for me. Hannah says, "Can you do a shout out to Donald Trump?" Listen, Donald Trump, he has a whole channel dedicated to him. Are you following me on my second channel? She speaks on it. I talk all things Donald Trump. That's pretty much where I've been for pretty much all this year so far. I've been over there talking all things Donald J. Trump. So today I wanted to talk all things P. Diddy, all things Cassie, Ventura. Listen, we can't even talk about Don Richard. Before the day ended, she got on the trial and child like that. Listen, I'm just emotionally, it's a lot going on with me because literally all day I've been listening to live like reporting because the state of New York, they don't allow, I'm sorry, they do not allow cameras to come inside of the courtroom, whether it's state or federal. They don't do that. I live in Atlanta, so it's a whole thing here. Listen, you get all the tea in real time here in Atlanta, but in New York it's not like that. So what they do, an alternative they have, is where they have like this website where you can go there and see like the transcripts and things. And I believe it's kind of like real time because I was following, listening to this content creator by the name of JR. So today I was listening to him his YouTube channel is called JLR Investigates. So his thing, he does pretty much all things like court related. So today I was listening to him just in real time, read the transcripts and things like that was taking place. So it's kind of like the next best thing to having a camera in there, but it's nothing like having the camera in there. Uh, Dr. J said I have 146. I know you lying, Dr. J. I see you, boo. I see you. Congratulations on that. Congratulations on that. Please, as you come in, like the video. Like the video. Let me know if you are familiar with what's going on with this Diddy trial. Have you been following it? I started pretty much get deep diving into it like as of last night, and then all of like today, up until it was time for me to leave the house to come bring my daughter to soccer practice. So I wanted to just do a live on this channel to just talk about the things that I learned as I was listening. Let me see. Ricardo, what's up? Welcome. Say, hey, beautiful lady. I'm from San Diego, California, at work now, Southwest. Welcome, welcome. I'm from the Bay Area. I'm from California too. So welcome. Happy to have you. You all double tap the screen, like the video. It helps with the algorithm. I'm not live on this channel very often as of late, but like the video so I can try to get back into the algorithm. Just double tap the screen. Double tap the screen. But yes, I wanted to just come out here and just talk about just the different things that I've learned as of late, centered around this trial. Very, very, very disturbing. Today, Cassie Ventura, she is like the star witness for the prosecution, for the feds, because it's a Fed case. So she's like their star witness. 8 months pregnant. They make it do what it do by 5 o'clock, by the end of the day. So they managed to work through that. She had a lot to say. And that's what I want. That's where I come in at, because I want to talk about the things that she had to say. And a lot of the things that she did have to say, uh, I think it was a lot of things that a lot of people weren't expecting. And maybe it wasn't necessarily even what she had to say, but also a combination of what she had to say and what the defense presented as far as Diddy's team of attorneys. uh they came with their receipts. She came with what she came with, but they came with theirs too. I will say that Diddy's team came with their receipts too. And what I mean by that is they had a slew of text messages uh that they wanted to, Miss Cassie to speak to bring clarity to, because the text messages that they read, that they shared with the courts, it was kind of contradictory to what many of us kind of had heard up until this point. And a lot of what we heard was information that came from the lawsuit she filed in 2023. So that's like 2 years ago. So basically, the lawsuit just outlined that she was just a victim of like ex trafficking. Like she was a victim. She was a victim of domestic violence as well as ex trafficking. From my recollection of what was in the documents, the lawsuit that was filed in 2023, there wasn't any mention of her ever being here for any of the freak offs, because that's how we came to learn of the term freak off, right? We learned about freak offs, the white nails. Child, we didn't listen. Folks just going to, I want white. Like it was no rhyme and reason other than you just needed it to coordinate with your little outfit, your swimsuit, whatever. When Cassie came out with her lawsuit and she talked about what the white fingernail polish meant in her world, it's just like, oh my, all the girls started looking at their nails. Because listen, you're not going to ever see me without white on, without my tips, without white. You're just not going to see it. So when Cassie came out talking about the freak offs, the white nails, like people like, oh my. So we kind of knew what was kind of popping off in Diddy's world like that, from just what she said in the leak within her lawsuit documents. From there, it kind of spiraled where other people then felt courageous enough to come out and say, well, well, this happened to me too, so that's when the ball started rolling. And I don't know if when Cassie, I don't know when Cassie decided to come out with this lawsuit, if that was really the intention of it all. I feel like it wasn't. I don't feel like she felt like as a result of doing that, it would have her fast forward to today, spending a week in the court testifying. I don't feel like that was it at all. Uh, I think that at that time, it was just centered around her wanting to just be compensated in a monetary way for just the psychological, emotional damages that she had, that she blamed him for. Because what I've learned is that her lawsuit came about like following her going through like therapy, extensive therapy, where they were just hooking things up to her brain. Like she was just going through extensive like trauma type therapy. So following that experience is when suddenly like the lawsuit came out. So to me, I feel like as a result of her going through treatment, mental health treatment, from that experience, it resulted in her wanting to tackle the situation head on and deal with the person who she blamed for her traumas. Like sometimes, people will have traumas and they don't really deal with it. They go and just hide underneath someone, whether you're on drugs, alcohol, you run away from it. You don't really deal with it head on. And I think a lot of people handle stress, trauma like that, where they just don't address it. It's just like, okay, if I close my eyes, turn my head this way, it'll go away. And that's not how trauma works. That's not how it works. And I feel like after she went through that experience with going to counseling, and receiving the type of counsel that she received, she learned a lot and came to the understanding that, you know what, it's my healing isn't going to come from me just turning the other way. It's not. My healing's going to come from me addressing the let me see, the perpetrator, the person who caused harm to me. And so I think at that time the way that she felt like addressing it was through civil, because a lot of years had passed by. So remember, post her lawsuit, the videos that took place of him, P. Diddy beating her at the Continental Hotel, that took place in 2016. So something I learned about that incident today that I did not know, and you all can let me know in the comments if you knew. I did not know that Cassie also sued the Intercontinental Hotel and won. Did y'all know that? Excuse me. Did you all know that Cassie not only sued P. Diddy and won, which she disclosed this week in a trial while on the stand that it was a settlement for $20 million? Cassie also sued the hotel where we saw him beating her in the hallway, in the lobby. She sued, let me say this. She filed suit, but it was settled. So because it was settled, like it didn't kind of take life. It didn't have legs and run off and people talk about it because they settled. They were like, we not gonna play these games. See, they didn't play like P. Diddy did when when she came at him and he didn't want to oblige by her request, knowing that his hands was dirty. The hotel knew better. They already knew, like, you know what? We know we did. We know what we know we did wrong. So what you want? What you want? So apparently the security guard who worked at that hotel at the time, who had come up to talk to P. Diddy and Cassie following that incident, because people had made reports to them that I guess something was popping off in the hallway. Well, Diddy apparently offered him like about $50,000 to basically get rid of the tape. So the suit was what was alleged in the suit was like the public hotel failed to protect her, because when you're going to a public environment, they have the duty to make sure that there's adequate protection that's taking place for the patrons. They're responsible. So it was their security that got rid of the video. So they already knew they was effed up. They were like, you know what? We don't need to go through the courts to know. We already know we effed up. Now, what you say you want again? So I don't know how much she got, but we gonna say it was in the seven figures. We gonna just say it was in the seven figures, and she was good with it, because many of us didn't hear about it. I just learned about it today when I was listening to this other attorney today, just recap and just talk about just all that's going on and providing her insight from a legal aspect. So it makes sense to me why she would have sued them and won. So definitely happy to hear that. The attorney that I was listening to, she was like, I would say it probably was maybe around like 10 million, probably at least. So imagine if the hotel gave her a cool 10, Diddy gave her a cool 20. List, sis is sitting really good. That's $30 million. Today, while she was on the stand, they asked her if there was like any scenario that would have her to return the money. And her response was like basically if she could take away, I guess, the freak offs, like those experiences, things that she had, she would basically just kind of give it all back. And I think she broke down on the stand kind of at that time where she just bawled and cried. So it's one of those things to where when you going through it and you've experienced trauma, is there really enough money in the world to take away that pain, that the psychological impact that you have, the trauma? I remember, hey, what's up, Kathleen? I remember when I worked at the mental health hospital and there was a vet and he was there and he would be in and out of the hospital from the trauma that he endured from being a soldier. And he told me he was sitting, in my office, right, with his dad, and he had a thick file just from just documents centered around just his mental health. He said, I lost my family, my wife, my kids. He was like, yo, I would give all the money, the resource, everything away if I can just be good, if I can just have my family back. And I understood that because the one thing that I've heard many like rich people talk about is like they may have all the money in the world, but a lot of times people who got a lot of money, their health isn't the best, whether it's like their physical body, body elements, or mental health. Like they got issues. That's why I say just because somebody's struggle is finances, it don't mean they don't have. Just because someone's struggle is not finances, it doesn't mean that they don't have struggles. You see what I'm saying? Look at Puff Daddy. Puff Daddy got all the money in the world. Money is not a thing for him. But look, his freedom is on the line. He got other type of stresses. So Kathy, now she has 20 plus millions of dollars in the bank. But psychologically, she just, when I say I would not want to trade places with her in the world, with her beauty, her money, her nothing, because look what it comes with. Is it worth it? Kathleen, you said the security guard video, the incident on the phone, he came back from his days off. The security tape was gone. So, like I said, the hotel, the Intercontinental Hotel, I think that's the name they said it was. They took responsibility. They took responsibility and they settled with her. So, the witness list. Kathleen, you said Cassie is lucky to be alive and didn't get what you say, phenomia. What does that mean, phenomia? Um, yeah, like she's probably, I'm going to say, just from just me wearing, putting on my mental health counselor hat, Cassie is an example of someone who will need lifelong therapy, meaning that at least once a week, maybe multiple times a week, she will need to talk with a professional. She will need to do check-ins. She'll need to do check-ins because she got with this man when she was like 21 years old. She met him at she met him through a guy who she was dating at the time. And that was a common thing I came to see like during the trial, that Cassie's, all her relationships like overlapped. Like, so I can't think of his name right now. The first guy she was with, let me see, do I have it on my laptop? Let me see if I got it up. I don't have it up right now. The first guy she was with, he was an older guy as well. He was like 29 or something. She was 21 at the time when she met Puff Daddy. And she'd been with him for 3 years. She'd been with him for 3 years. He introduced her to P. Diddy. From there, P. Diddy for her 21st birthday. I guess her birthday was kind of coming up. She lied to her boyfriend about what she was about to be doing in Florida, and P. Diddy basically flew her out, took her to Miami, and they had them a little good time. From there on, that basically they were together. He kissed her on the mouth, and they just were a thing. So that's how she got into that relationship. And some of you may know or may not know that Alex Fine, her current husband, she met him through Diddy because Diddy had hired him as his personal trainer, and then started to allow for him to work with Cassie. So he basically was both of their personal trainers. And so Cassie started to see him. Then when while being with Diddy, prior to being with Alex, that remember some of you all may heard about the Kid Cudi story. I think he's a rapper. And Puffy allegedly having his car, blowing his car up. Guess how she met Kid Cudi? Yeah, she met him through Diddy. She met him through Diddy. She started seeing him. She basically was kind of toggling between the two. She started seeing Kid Cudi, but then she was back with Diddy doing the freak offs. And on one of those times when they were having the freak offs, he seen her phone, and that's how he learned about her messing around with Kid Cudi. She had met him, I think, at a studio. Diddy had introduced them. So her situations kind of overlap. Like, it's not like she just meeting somebody at the park or at the mall. No. She meets her new boo through her old boo. Can you understand? The new boo comes about through the old boo. Like, she like, listen, ain't nobody got time to be going to the park, meet nobody, getting on these dating apps. We ain't got time for that. I'ma have the current situation introduce me to the new situation. That's been the theme. That's just how she roll. I don't know, but somehow, like, that's just how her relationships have come about. Yeah, that's just, listen, this is coming from her testimony on how she met all of these guys. Yes. So with that being said, and here's another thing, when she got with Diddy, she was like 21. She had the other guy who she was with, he was like a producer. She had his name tattooed on her at the time. So they were like, she tried to downplay that relationship, like as though it wasn't that serious. But they were like, hey, but you had his whole name tattooed on you. So listen, this is just how Cassie was rolling. This how the girl from Connecticut was rolling. So fast forward, she got with Alex Fine. After she started dating Alex and supposedly cut it off with P. Diddy, she agreed to hang out with P. Diddy again. Because remember, for what, 10, 11 years, they had this on again, off again situation. So one day, they started talking again and agreed to hang out. And they did. They hung out, had a good time. And she said they wound up back at her place, her apartment. And it was then that day, that night, on her floor, he AR'd her. That's her story. It came out during the testimony that when that allegedly happened, she did not tell her then boyfriend, Alex Fine, what had happened to her. I did not hear in the testimony as to her saying why she did not tell him, but she did also say that following the alleged incidents where P. Diddy AR'd her, she did have consensual sex with him being P. Diddy. So follow me. She said that he had AR'd her, and then I'm not quite sure what the timeline as to how long after that. I think it was just a matter of maybe some weeks, some months, but she hooked up. She saw him again, and she had consensual sex with him. Again, that's one of them things I don't understand, with Cassie. She different. We all different. So there's just a lot that I'm learning about her that just has me to be like, yeah, she real different. She real different. She real different. So on one of the instances when she was with P. Diddy and I guess during this one incident after the sexual assault, when she willingly, consensually had sex with him, she said Alex Fine, who is her now husband, FaceTimed her. So when he FaceTimed her, basically that's how it ended up coming out about him learning that she had slept with P. Diddy. And she said that he had punched a hole in the wall. He got upset. So now the question is, okay, did the allegation centered around her being raped, did that come about as a way for her to maybe not look as bad in her husband's eyes if she say, well, he argued me? Because that's a game changer. So say you're in a relationship with somebody, and we've seen that many a times. I don't know what her reason, what her situation was, but I'm just painting a picture of how often we've heard where two people will have consensual sex and it comes out that one person later alleges being argued because they don't want to be in trouble. Or sometimes, how many, I've heard it a lot of times where there's maybe a white girl and a black boy, and it comes out that she had sex with the black guy, and it's like, oh snap, like people start looking at her side eyes, her father, her parents, family, friends. So then it turns into, he argued me. You see what I'm saying? Sometimes it changes. This was kind of like the scenario that came about like with Kobe Bryant. Remember, there was a lady at the hotel who had accused him of R-ing her. And he was like, no, I didn't. And then it started to come out, or people, I can't remember all the details, but it started to come out as though she kind of just said that because he kind of rejected her. It's almost like, he got what he wanted and he moved on. Because remember, he had a whole wife. So things happen where people will change the story and the details of what happened to paint a different picture, so therefore they can maybe be looked at in a different light. So that's why, like today or this week, when Cassie was on the stand, there was a lot of questioning centered around, okay, you say he did this to you, okay, but you met up with him afterwards? Well, yeah, well, why would you still meet up with him afterwards if he allegedly raped you? Argue, well, I still loved him. Listen, Linda, listen. I've never, fortunately, been violated like that to be able to speak on trauma bonding, whatever you want to call it, where you're still okay or able to be intimate with somebody who you accused of raping you. So, but that was her response. Her response was just like, yeah, I mean, I still loved him. So even though she says he had did that to her, she just still agreed to sleep with him because it's just like, I still love him. So yeah, that time he took it, but this time I was good with giving it to him. This is what she said. This is what she said. So based off of the testimony that Cassie gave this week, I don't feel like she's a slam dunk for the prosecution's team with getting what they're wanting to get as far as with sitting around this Rico situation. I don't feel like Cassie did it for him. Now, there's a lot of other witnesses that are scheduled to um, come to the stand over these next. It's supposed to be about 8 weeks. We down one, so we got about 7 more weeks. It's projected that this trial is going to end around 4th of July. Cassie, I don't think, like I said, she was like that star witness that they brought, but I don't think that it gave the way the prosecution wanted it to. Because remember, like they not knowing, they didn't know about these text messages. Like they knew the team was gonna come with something, but you don't know what exactly that is on that level until like they bring it. So a lot of, pretty much 90% of the text messages, at least from the ones I heard, was centered around her being good with the freak offs, and most of them with her being the one to initiate the conversation centered around the freak off, or her showing excitement for them. And that's a contradiction. That's contradictory. That's a contradiction to what she alleged in her lawsuit. So that's the thing with that. So I felt like, Cassie's testimony to me was powerful, to where it painted him as a monster from the standpoint of being an abuser, being like a physical abuser, an abuser. But that's not one of that. That's not what he's been charged with, though. That's the thing. He's not on trial for domestic violence. No, that's not what his charge is. So, given that, his charges, he got wrecked, he got all kinds of trafficking. To me, what she spoke on and the things she said, I don't feel like what she said really brought it home, as far as for the charges. Let me look up and see what are the exact charges that Diddy is being charged with, because yeah, let me see. It's Diddy. Let's see what his charges are, because so he's been charged for ex trafficking, racketeering, conspiracy, transportation to engage in prostitution. So I feel like her testimony more it was more to me. It actually made it look as though she was a part of, say, these charges that he's been accused of. Not really a victim of them, but like somebody who was like, "Hey, what's up, Francis?" To me, I feel like she talked about the freak offs and them just meeting people, getting people from Backpage or the Craigslist, just random. She didn't mention like any like celebrities being a part of the situation. Just meeting just people from all over. So if anything, it just gave to where, okay, well, all these things that you're saying he's guilty of, well, she was right there on the side of him. So she would be guilty of that too. But remember, she's a witness. She's not on trial. So it's like, depending on how you look at it. To me, it her getting up there for the prosecution, it didn't help, as it pertains to the charges that he's been charged with. Had he been charged with domestic violence all day long, but that's not a charge. And even right before the day wrapped up, singer Dawn Richard, she's a member of, she was she was used to be a member of the group Danity Kane, the music group Danity Kane. Excuse me. She got on a stand and she testified to witnessing Diddy physically abuse Cassie. She said they were at like a house, like a studio. I think it was maybe like one of his houses or something, like in like the basement. And he asked Cassie about his breakfast, about his food. And I guess she didn't give him the right response. It wasn't ready, whatever. He wasn't happy with the response. So he basically like like hit her. And she dropped to the ground. He grabbed the skillet with the eggs. It was a hot pan skillet on the stove with eggs. And he went to act like he wanted to hit her with it. And she just laid kind of on the ground, balled up, and Dawn was like, everybody in the room was like, everybody just was like, that was her first time ever witnessing anything like that. So she was like, everyone was just like looking. Nobody said nothing because she was like, hell, I was scared too. I'm just like, and she said he didn't, he had hit her, but he didn't hit her with the pan. But after that, like he drug her back up the stairs because they were like downstairs in like a basement. He drug her up the stairs. So she can't really speak to him. And she said what popped off up there. But the people in her team, or she was around, they basically was like, yo, like kind of like keep your head down. You ain't seen nothing. You ain't heard nothing, because stuff like this can have you come up missing if you get to talking about stuff. So, and she said that took place in like 2009. And I think Diddy and Cassie got together in around 2007 when Cassie was like around 21. So she said it was like 2009. So it was in like the earlier stages of their relationship. So this is how far back it can be vouched to where the abuse took place. You see how long ago that was? Like this was, she was with that man, what, 10, 11 years? This popped off in the first 2 years. So the abuse, it ain't no question if there was abuse popping off, but that's not what he's been charged with. So what's alleged is also, or what's out there already, is that Dawn, and she probably will testify more on Monday because she got on the stand at the end of the day. She was like the last person to get on the stand. I think first, was Cassie. Then there was this other investigator who got on the stand who testified to finding some things in a hotel when he got arrested, that supported, I guess, him, and his freak activities or whatever. So that was a brief testimony or whatever. And she testified to things kind of like, remember they had the baby oil. So basically, when they rolled up on him and he got arrested, he still had like stuff like that, like with him, plus $9,000. $9,000 in cash he had in a bag at the hotel when he got arrested. Yeah. Um, there was a woman with him in the hotel. So I think Diddy's team want the people or the jurors to believe that the money could have been the woman's who he was with. Money, because the the person, the what was the investigator, the person who was on the stand testifying, who was a part of apprehending him, asked her, "Hey, was there a woman in the room?" And her response was yes. And they were like, all right, no more questioning. So I think they left it like that because they want the juror to have the thought like, well, that money could have been the lady's money. We don't know who money that is. So Dawn got on the stand. So it was probably like about 10 minutes left before they had to kind of wrap it up for the day. But that's what she said. So she hadn't really even gotten into her own personal testimony as far as like abuse and things that took place with her. But what she has accused him of, she's accused him of breaking into her dressing room and groping her breast and her butt. So she had already put that allegation out there. So not only did she witness Diddy beating on Cassie multiple times, but she told the story about the first time he also was inappropriate with her. So that's one witness. So these are the witnesses outside of Cassie that I'm running down that I've come to learn of. And there's more, but these are the ones that I was able to kind of learn like some more kind of detailed information about as far as what they're expected to say during their testimony. So there's a woman, an anonymous woman known as Jane. So she apparently started dating Diddy in 2020. She is slated to testify how she was expected to have sex with escorts without a condom against her will. And this is what the prosecutors are saying. So she's on the list of witnesses. But she said, listen, he forced me to sleep with escorts against my will and without a condom. So she's known as Jane. She's an anonymous woman. So right now her identity is unknown. Uh, She will also, this Jane woman, is also going to describe a horrific night when Combs viciously attacked her, punched her in the face while she was curled up in a ball. And when I read that, I'm like, that's how Cassie is. We saw Cassie looking just like that in the hallway when Diddy was kicking her at the hotel, right? Remember, Dawn Richards said she saw Cassie balled up when Diddy was standing over her with a skillet, a pan with eggs in it. So this is his thing to, he abuses women. So she was curled up in a ball on the ground. He slapped her so hard she fell over. So this is according to prosecutor Emily Johnson. She said all of this during her opening statement on Monday. So during her opening statement on Monday, that's what she said. Then we have another victim by the name of Mia. She worked apparently for Combs as his personal assistant for several years. She's supposed to testify that he testified about being forced to perform oral sex on him and also being awed by him. So this is also according to the prosecutors. So like I said, I don't feel like Cassie is that slam dunk, but with all of these other people who are going to be getting on the stand, I feel like they're going to be able to get a win. The prosecution is going to be able to get a win. Yeah, because I feel like it's going to get worse and worse, like, as these people come on the stand and give their testimony. Francis, she says, balled up and beat up, shake my head, so sad. Yeah, that's the story of multiple women. They get balled up. Dawn Richard, the singer, she was like, when Cassie had bruises, she looked battered. She's fair skinned. She looked battered. Then we have Aubrey O'Day. So y'all know Aubrey O'Day is another member of the Danity Kane group. So she was in a group with Don Richard. She reportedly has also been subpoenaed to testify. And I know she's been talking about she couldn't wait to get her day to speak her piece. She been itching to tell her side ever since Cassie's lawsuit. I've been hearing Aubrey talking about how she was so ready. But I hadn't heard any details, her really get to talking. It was more so like her saying, y'all, baby, I got some things to say too. But I never really heard her really say anything. It was just like, and I don't know why I hadn't heard her say anything. Some of you all may have heard her say something as far as with details with how Diddy impacted her. But she basically was like, yo, I got my story too. I got my story too. So supposedly she's been subpoenaed and she will be getting on the stands. Today it said that Justin Bieber came out and he said he is not a victim of P. Diddy. I've been hearing for some years about it being alleged that Justin Bieber was a victim of P. Diddy. And it was never backed with like any proof of anything. It was just one of those things that people kind of would say, kind of like how I've heard people say that Usher is a victim of P. Diddy. Some of you all may have heard it. Never backed by anything other than just a bad look when you kind of took notice of these young kids spending time with Puffy while inappropriate things were taking place, things that a minor should not be present for. When Usher was a young boy at like 14, he went to what was known as the Diddy camp. So for 6 weeks, like during the summertime, he went and stayed at Diddy's house. So Diddy can kind of get him ready, whatever, to be a star. L.A. Reid, who Usher was up underneath at the time, made the arrangement for Puff Daddy to take Usher underneath his wing, show him what he needs to show him, so therefore Usher can pop out and just be the superstar that we know him to be today. We know him to be today. Just like Justin Bieber turned into, a superstar. But at what cost? Like, that's the thing. The more of the story is like, it's like, what are you willing to give? How much of your soul, yourself, are you willing to sell for fame and fortune? Because to me, I feel like with Cassie's story, it's rooted in her wanting to be elevated and to be a superstar. I remember when I first came to learn who she was, I was like right out of high school. And I thought, she was a pretty girl from the talent perspective. It wasn't knocking it out the park, but I thought she was cute. So I thought she had the look. But at that time, as far as from the talent, I didn't think it kind of matched up. But she was young. So what I've learned is that she had a contract with Diddy, and her contract had her to make 10 albums for him. And to date, she has only made one album. The contract was written for her. She was committed in that contract to produce for Diddy, Bad Boy, with his label, whatever, 10 albums. She only has one. Why is that? Did Puffy ever intend for her to have more than one? I'm going to say no. I personally feel like he had her locked into that stupid loan contract as a way to keep her around for his own personal interests. I personally don't feel like from a talent perspective, he really ever saw that in her like that. I think, he thought she was cute, but y'all remember when she went on 106 in Park and it was just like a bad performance and every people talked about it. Y'all can look it up, but because they brought that up on the stand. For whatever reason, they brought up that 106 in Park performance. I remember that performance. I think that Diddy, because think about it, everybody else, whoever signed to Bad Boy, I don't recall any of his artists ever having, excuse me, reportings of having a bad performance or people questioning their talents. Like really, you had what, 112? You had all these groups that was associated with Diddy. I have no memory of any of their talents being questioned or any performances that just didn't look good. Cassie is the only one. Cassie is the only one. So I feel like he didn't really have faith that she was like that like girl like that, but he had other intentions for her. He was like, all right, nah, she ain't got the star power, but she can be my girl. That's all right. She'll be my girl. I'll just tell her that I'm going to make her a star. I'm going to sign her a deal because I just want her on my arm. But even though this man never had any intentions on making her a star, because I honestly don't believe he felt like she had star power on that level. I think that he found her to be beautiful. Remember, she was modeling at one point for Sean John. She was a model. I didn't hear anything he talks about like when that, that coming up and things like that in the testimony. But I remember she was modeling. But yeah, I just think he just set her up. He knew that he just wanted her as his little plaything, arm candy, and it was that. And in the beginning, she was willing to do whatever to get put on. She was young. She was 21. When Don Richard witnessed her getting beat, she was 23 at that time, 2 years later. So she was young. So she's like, okay, I'm willing to do whatever. I want to be a superstar. And young and dumb, I listen, many of us have that experience where you're young and you don't know. You know what I'm saying? You don't know. And by the grace of God, many of us didn't encounter somebody to come along in our lives to take advantage of us and to abuse us. But unfortunately, a lot of people did, including Cassie. So he came along and exploited her just wanting to just be a star and to sing and to be famous and be in the rooms with he knew what she wanted. So it's almost like you dangling a carrot over someone's head. It's almost like, yeah, we're gonna get the studio time in. Because she would talk about, even in the testimony, oh, going to the studio. For what? We didn't hear about that. We didn't hear about no more music. She had one album. What we doing in the studio? We playing? What is we doing in the studio? What are we doing in the studio? Why we in the studio? Because studio time. What are we doing in the studio? He was gaslighting her. Yeah, go ahead and sing that. Yeah, we going to drop. This man knew what he was doing. She just didn't know. at that time. She eventually came to know. But by the time things started opening up and she started wisening up as she got older. At this point now, she's more engulfed into his world with the X and the drugs and, freak offs to where it's just, she was turned out. Like literally, this young girl got turned out. She got turned out. She got turned out. He turned her out. And it's sad. So that's why, as we were listening to these text messages and her being provocative and sexual, whatever, like that, we got to keep in mind of how old she was when she got with him, and how, as a young girl that's trying to be this full, mature woman, she's thinking that, well, this is the key to this. This is what I got to do to get his attention, to have him to be chosen. This is what I got to do. This is what he likes. Because they asked her on the stand, well, did you know that these were the type of things you needed to be into in order to be his girlfriend? She said, I came to know. That was her statement. She's like, I came to know, meaning that when I got with him, no, I didn't know that this would. When I got with him, he was on some Prince Charming type stuff, on some I'm gonna make you a superstar type stuff. But he had an ulterior motive. She thinking one way and he thinking a whole nother way. And it took years for her to realize that. And by the time she started to realize that, she's deeper and deeper, because the thing about being in a toxic and abusive relationship, the longer you stay in it, the harder it is to get out. Because now you got what you call the trauma bond. So now y'all both drug addicts right now. Y'all doing drugs, y'all fighting, you doing freak offs. You just kind of, it's almost like you in a hole and you trying to get out. Almost like you drowning. And it's just like you weak. She was emotionally and psychologically, she was weak. And she wasn't being honest during much of these times with her parents as far as what was going on. She said, like, she was lying about things. So he had that mental chokehold on her. And psychological abuse can be far worse than physical abuse, because guess what? The bruises on your body can heal. But when somebody get in your head, like I said, this woman is going to have to spend a lifetime in therapy, because it's not on Sunday, next Sunday, then all that happened to me is going to be gone. It doesn't work that way. People who I know today who talk about being abused in the past or as children, they say, yo, like, every day, I think I live with this every day. When I wake up, when I go to bed, it's with me. I haven't forgotten. I've just learned how to live with the trauma. Y'all, everybody don't go and get help through counseling, because everybody ain't got the resources. Most people don't. Let's just say that. Most people don't. You're fortunate if you got it like that, to be able to go and get psychological treatment, counseling. Because most people don't. Especially people in the Black community. That's just not what they do. More today than before, but that people are kind of going to counseling and all of that there. But in large, no, that's just not what people do. Kathleen says she knew Ken was his soulmate and love. Cassie wanted that so bad. Yes, she said she did. She said that her last time talking to him, y'all remember when Kim Porter passed away and she went and was a support to him at Kim's going away service. I remember that, because I'm like, wow, I mean, I wonder what made Cassie come out, because I knew, they weren't together anymore. So remember, during that time, Diddy called Kim his soulmate. So she said that she ended up calling him after that service to question him about that. And basically she was on like, yo, so the whole 10 years we was together just what, nothing? because she admitted on the stand she was jealous of Kim. She said for Thanksgiving and Christmas, like the holidays, Diddy would spend those days with Kim and the kids. Diddy never allowed Cassie to be around his children. Yeah, so still, even for her, in her mind, she still wasn't even connecting the dots during that relationship, that basically he don't see my value high enough to do all those things, to bring around his kids, to spend holidays. Because think about it, side chicks be having, like, it's, you got your special time. So basically it was like she was a side chick, but in her mind, she going off of being the main chick because she's going off of the things that he was telling her. So she wasn't really reading the room. She was going off of just the words, even though his words wasn't lining up with his actions. So what she talked about on the stands was, I was the main chick, Kim Porter was the second chick. And y'all remember the other Asian girl, Gina? I can't remember her last name, but Tasha K, the YouTuber content creator Tasha K, I interviewed her some years back. Gina came into the picture. So she was like, what the freak? What? Okay, I'm the main chick. Kim Porter, the second chick. Where Gina coming in? Why Gina got to be in the mix? Remember, this girl trying to get Thanksgiving. She's like, shit, you still ain't brought me to the doggone dinner table for Thanksgiving, or had me sitting around a tree for Christmas, and you bringing in somebody else? You bringing in somebody else. So she had a whole problem with that. So he showed her value by how he treated her. But she didn't take heed to that because she was just going off of the things, the words that he was saying to her during their freak off moments. She wasn't reading the room because it was very apparent that this man only viewed you as a plaything. And it took years for her to come to realize that. And I don't even know, really, even right now at the age of, I think she about 38 now, I still can't even say that she's in a place right now to even acknowledge the fact that that's pretty much what she was. I don't know. I'm not even convinced that she even still feel that he viewed her that way. Yes. I'm not convinced that she even see that he viewed her still that way, even though the masses feel like, girl, like he views you as just something to play with. I don't think, and I think it's just because she don't want to see it that way, is because of all the time she's invested in that relationship. She don't want to feel like it was for nothing. That's not going to sit well with her, so she have to try to tell herself, no, it was some more to it. It had to be, because ain't no way he would have done this for me or been around this long if it wasn't. But at the same time, it was never her, and he was very much so doing that. He had the ability to do all that he was doing while still not loving her like she thought he did, because what he was doing with her, that wasn't love. That was control. That was an abuser controlling somebody. That was not love. Francis says she's a Virgo, so she probably knew, but she was too comfortable and depended on him too much. She was playing mind games with herself. I see that a lot, especially with women. When I mean by mind games, is that when a person, a man, will show you what they think of you by how they treat you, but though you still find a way to rationalize that this person actually give a damn, that this person would do more for you or do better by you if they just didn't work so much, or if they didn't have to be torn away and have to go take care of their kids or their mom. It's like people will psychologically, like, will play games with themselves just to sleep at night, because the truth hurts. The truth hurts. So it's like, I don't want to think about it that way. I'm going to think about it this way, because I can't even fathom even that even being an option. Why? Because I just don't want to. I just don't want to. Oh, okay. Well, you continue to play mind games with yourself because guess what? Time is still passing. And just because you don't call a thing don't mean it's not a thing. Just because you don't want to call a thing don't mean it ain't a thing. And people do that all the time. All the time. And it's just like, okay, definition of insanity. Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting something different. And that's what Cassie was doing when it came to Diddy. She was repeatedly doing these freak offs, doing this, that, and the third, and expecting something different. And unfortunately, it took years, pretty much all of her 20s, for her to accept reality that what she and what they had was never going to go beyond what it was that they had. He was giving her the most he was willing to give her, and it wasn't what she wanted. So here's the thing, you all, what I just learned about Alex Fine, because a lot of people are kind of questioning and kind of looking at him a certain way and wondering um his thoughts about her, centered around, he was there present for much of the testimony today. At one point, he had to be asked to leave the courts, but that's because they're saying that he may be called as a witness. So you all, Alex Fine, Cassie's husband, may be called as a witness. The prosecute who may call him as the witness. I think the defense may call him as a witness. He may be called as a witness, but the whole purpose of him being called as a witness is in hopes to be able to uh, contradict some of the things that she said. So just keep that in mind. You may hear down the line over the next 7 more weeks that Alex Fine may be called to the stand. And yeah, to talk about, because he got inserted into the chat when they got together in 2018. So there was things that took place, I guess, centered around Cassie and whatever post then. So that's why he couldn't kind of still sit in the, sit in the courthouse while she was testifying, because it was going into a time period to where he kind of was in the picture and he would be asked to testify about. So they didn't want him to hear what she had to say for that particular time period. But back to Alex Fine. So a lot of people have been talking about him and how he may view her, or how he even got with her and took her serious, quickly made her his wife. Now they're expecting a third child, all of that. And then me, so remember, I'm chic. My background is clinical mental health counseling, so I go deep. I start thinking. So at that moment, I said, let me look up and see how old this man is. Because I was trying to understand, because as people talk about and trying to gain an understanding as to why Alex would be with her, or if he was still, basically it's coming, people are saying he ain't gonna be around too long. Y'all let me know in the chat if y'all think he's gonna be around. But a lot of people feel like their relationship is some think predict it'll be over in a couple of years, but some men are like, nah, buddy got about a couple of more months. And if there's any men in this chat, let me know your thoughts, because this man heard a lot of disturbing stuff about his wife. And remember, all the majority of the text messages that they were reading were really all of the text messages that the defense was reading were messages that were sexual, and that where she was initiating a lot of things, are here for the freak offs. And so many wonder, how much did he know about the situation? Did she paint the picture as though 100% of the time she was doing it against her will? Or did she ever let him know that at one point she was here for the freak offs until she wasn't? So a lot of men are like, ain't no man can get past all of that when you done learn how many peens your woman done had in her mouth. She done got sores. And listen, they said it's the mental. It's the mental. They're like that. It's just hard for the man to get past that. Francis says, I just know he's a Pisces. If he loves her, he'll continue to support her. So you saying he a rider? You say he gonna ride? That's what the sentiments, he's giving right now. So a lot of men are looking for him to pretty much probably end up leaving, and probably sooner than many people think. So I got to thinking, I'm like, well, let me look into this Alex Fine. How old is he? So you all, today, this man was born in 1993. Today, Alex Fine is 32 years old. Um, they've been together like 7 years. So he was 25 years old when he got with her. Cassie's like 38. She'll be 39 this year. So at the time, Cassie was like 32 years old, at the age that he is right now. So I'm like, it makes sense. This man, he was so, follow me, you all. When they got together, let's say 7 years ago, he was 25. She was 32. This man was smitten with her. He ain't know no better. Like, he seen a fine, beautiful woman that was showing him interest, because literally they met in 2018 and was married and expecting a baby in 2019. Like, it went that fast. And when I seen how old he was, I'm like, hell, it makes sense. Because you all, I do not feel like a man, a mature man, a man that would have been at least Cassie's age at that time, 32 plus, would have made a family life the way that he did with her. Not like that. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. They wouldn't have done that. A mature man would not have done that. A mature man would have factored in who you were coming from, the things you might likely maybe have partaken in while you was with that person. These are the thoughts that a mature man would have had, because men, like, when they not trying to sign up just with somebody. Listen, it made sense to me why everything happened so fast. He was a baby, y'all. He's 32 now. He's not a baby anymore. He's not a baby anymore. He's 32. So he got a man thought process now. He was 25. So I'm like, it makes sense why he wifed her up and made her the mother of his kids. Because ain't no way another man that would have been her age would have done that, coming off of her being with him. And knowing that he even came to know that she was still seeing Diddy, and it was overlapping. Remember, he FaceTimed her. He still stuck around. They on baby number 3. This man got with her because he thought she was beautiful. He was smitten with her. He was young. He was 25 years old. And y'all know men be slower than that. So if he 25 chronologically, mentally, he had to be a good, what, 22? A good 22? So for him, oh yeah, she's the best thing ever. Even though a mature man would have taken notice, like, oh, uh-uh. A mature man would have been like, nah, she just would have been more of like the plaything, like what she had been accustomed to being. So it makes sense to me why she's somebody's wife right now for maybe 6 years now, going on baby number 3, because she got with a young guy, a guy that was younger than her. So psych shit. At this point, y'all, Cassie wasn't no innocent young girl anymore like she was before. She had been around the block. So she was more experienced than Alex when they got together. So she knew her way around she knew how to reel him in. He was more of a crutch for her. Francis said, it's hard to get rid of a Pisces, and they love hard and don't give up so quick. Everything what they say happens for a reason. And maybe Alex Fine, well, clearly it was meant for him to be that one who came around, because I honestly do not feel like a mature man at that time, one of her age, would have done what he did as far as with taking her serious like that and wiping her up and having children. I don't believe it would have happened. I don't believe it would have happened. And I also don't believe it will happen if, say, he were to leave her and some man coming along and wanting to do all that, unless it's centered around them trying to gain access to her money. There are things when it comes to a man that he can't unknow. He cannot unknow these things. Is you can't unhear it. It's like when you hear it, it's just like most men, from what I've come to learn, they ain't like Kanye, where Kanye knew whatever sitting around Kim and he still wifed her up. But I believe Kanye only did it because she was a white woman. Kanye wouldn't have gave no black woman a pass like that. Surely wouldn't have. Kanye would not have given a black woman a pass for her having a pass like Kim and the tape out there. A black woman, he wouldn't have taken one serious that did all that. But because she was Kim Kardashian, she was a white woman, he gave her a pass. But the average man, regardless on what you look like, he's not willing to give you that type of pass not to take you serious, wife you up, and have kids with you. He'll probably have a baby with you faster than would he than marrying you. Because you notice these men, they'll have a whole create a whole life with somebody before they marry him. Puffy did it. A man, even though marriage is so having a kid is so serious, you got a lot of people who are fine with having a child with you and like, oh heck no, I would never marry that person. But you're willing to have a life, give life and procreate this person, but you turning your nose up at the idea of marrying them. That sounds crazy to me, y'all. That sounds crazy. I would try the marriage part first before the kid part. But it's so many people who will do the kid part first and not do the marriage part. And so I definitely feel like, yeah, she got with a young guy who didn't know any better. She was able to run circles around him. He's older now, but she's more mature. She knows more. She's more seasoned. She says they had hundreds of freak offs. They've had hundreds of freak offs. So that was all by the time she was 32 when she met this young boy at 25, and she talking about she had already had hundreds of freak offs. So we don't even know, out of hundreds of events, numbers wise, as far as how many unique people that played a part in that situation, how many bodies cheating had. But remember, he's 25, so he ain't caring or thinking about nothing like that because he's just a young fitness trainer. He's just a young fitness trainer that came across a beautiful girl who expressed that look. Oh, I think you cute too. Bet, for real? He was smitten with her. He was infatuated with her. Many men would, but the average of mature man who've experienced things would know, okay, it's only a certain level I'm going to go with you because I like you. You cute, but remember, you not the holiday girl. You not the one to get the holidays. So just like how Puffy wasn't giving her the holidays, that's kind of would be the norm for a mature man. You ain't getting them days. You're not getting those days. You're not her. You're not that type of woman. But for a 25-year-old that don't know no better, and he's seeing beauty, and he's seeing a woman that for him and his ego, like, oh snap, I got Diddy girl. Think about it. Y'all think this 25-year-old wasn't feeling himself? He was a personal trainer. He took Diddy's girl. Think about it. He's a baby. So he's thinking like, I'm winning. I'm winning. He not even using no type of common sense to nothing. He not reading the room or nothing. Just like when she got with Diddy and he played her, Cassie got with this young guy and played him. She learned. She got with a young guy and played him. That's why when she was seeing him, she was still creeping with Diddy in the beginning because that's who she really wanted. But guess what? That's not who wanted her. See, that happens a lot of times. where the person we want don't want us and we chasing them, but the one that want us, that's not really. She settled for Alex. I believe she loves him. She grew to love him because he loved her. She said on the stand, you all, that she still don't. She didn't outright say I love him, but she said I don't hate him. What's the opposite? What's the opposite of hate? Cassie still loves this man. She still loves this man. This is the man who has her heart. It's a sad situation. So her husband, there's a lot in his statement. He had a statement right when the trial today, when the day concluded. Cassie's attorney came out and he read a statement. He read Cassie's statement first, and then he read Alex Fine's statement. And Alex said, people have been saying or wondering like if I'm going to still stick around. He was like, I have a lot of thoughts. Francie said, yep, it's very sad. Reading books said, I said she still loved him. You can tell a woman knows. We know. Her husband know. He knows. It was confirmed. It was confirmed this week. It was confirmed this week. And when she, remember I told y'all at a point he had to be removed today. So she may have made that comment about I don't hate him after he had already gotten removed. But it'll get back to him, this stuff that the record, the reports like the court reports, he'll learn about it. People will be talking about it. And he'll come to learn, even if though he didn't hear it. But this man knows that he'll never have her heart the way Diddy has it. He'll never have it. But he loves her. She loves him from a way of he's her savior. She loves him because, well, I'm supposed to love him. He saved me. He's my husband. But the heart wants what the heart wants. The heart wants what the heart wants. And if Cassie could have her way and Diddy chose her and only her, even right now, through all of this, that's where Cassie would choose to be. Because that's who has her heart. That's who has her heart. So how long they'll be able to stay together with this type of situation, this it's going to come down to how long both she and Alex can play the game. Because the game is, this ain't really what it's supposed to be or what people believe it is, but we here. We trying to make it do what it do. We trying. Like we got these kids, we married, we trying. But I believe that still there's that wall that Cassie has that prevents her from really fully connecting to Alex, because that's just not who she truly deep down loves, who she wants to be with. So it's a sad situation. So it may come a day where he'll be like, I can no longer be the one. I can't be that man you settle for. I can't do it because I know I've done it for a long time, and I can't make you love me, because I feel like Alex, what he's been doing, it's like he's trying to make her like, I'm doing this for you, I'm a support, we got these kids. But like the heart, like, come on, anybody, the heart wants what the heart wants. How many of you have wanted someone that wasn't good for you, and you're like, and you mad, you sick that you even desire it or even want it? That's what a lot of the abusive relationships come from, because it's like you want something that's toxic, that's not good for you, but you're drawn to it. And really, you all, like, you it's one of the, it's like a spirit that you gotta kind of pray. You gotta listen. You need to go to your higher power with them type of feelings, because it can be so deep to where it's just like, Lord, like you gotta remove this feeling from you. You gotta remove this desire to want this person, to want that. Remove it. It's like an addiction. It's an addiction. And Cassie and Diddy, they're addicted to each other. So when will her husband accept things for what they are? Question: the day that he does, will he take the children with him? Because I don't see him being able to fake the funk like this for years. He's human too. And then here's the kicker, you also, after this trial, and they're back in their lives in the world, and he, like, everybody know what his wife done. Like, y'all, that's what I'm saying. Talk to a guy and ask him his thoughts with learning about his woman's past or things that he didn't know on that level. And now you got to go out and about with this person on your arm, or go around your friends or your family, and everybody just, y'all just not talking about it. Like, what? I'm just saying. I'm just saying. So these are the type of things that Alex is going to have to, Alex and Cassie both will have to work through. How long will they be able to work through that before they be like, this ain't working? Or Cassie starts to feel like, Alex, like, I feel like you don't look at me the same. Y'all, these are conversations. Listen, I know how to read people. Remember, my background is clinical mental health counseling. I always say my favorite subject is people, because I can read people very well. So what's going to happen is going to be unspoken things. It's going to be the body language, the energy in the room, the things that just don't feel the same. It's like the conversation, it's just going to be different. Or maybe you not looking at the person in the eye anymore. It's just going to be little, these subtle things, to where that things are different. Things are different. And like I said, just because you don't talk about something and call a thing, it don't mean it ain't a thing. It's unspoken until it becomes a point to where you got to talk about it, because it becomes so, the tension becomes so thick, and eventually one person will break and be like, I can't do this anymore. Just talk. What's wrong? Like, and somebody breaks, whether it's him or her. But I really think that it's really more so him kind of changing and her picking up the energy. How long they gonna be able to play in each other's face? That's what it's gonna come down to. Because it ain't enough kids in the world. They can't have enough kids in the world to fix that. And maybe them having babies the way they have it, maybe it's rooted in that. Well, let's have a baby together. Like, you know how, like, some people, they be in toxic relationships and then they go and have a baby with the person. It's just like, what you do that for? But somehow in their mind, they felt like, well, if they had a child with this person, they would feel more connected. So they just have kids. And it's just their way how they deal with trauma or whatever that they got going on. They're they feel like, okay, well, if I have a baby, maybe with Cassie, with having a kid, it's something to where she feels like, okay, that's maybe the only person that she can get close to in that type of way. Her own flesh, like, they're coming from her versus, say, a man. Because think about it, coming off of what she experienced, how do you ever really be comfortable with a man like that on that type of level where you're vulnerable with them like that? I don't think that she's vulnerable with him like that. I bet you a lot of times he feel like that he's closed off. Like, she blocks him out. She just deals with things internally, because how she really feels, she knows she can't really say it because she don't want to hurt his feelings. But her truth is, it's like, man, I know I don't need this man, Diddy, because of all that he's done, but I can't get this feeling away, this energy, this pull that I have to want to go to him. They were still, he texted her after when he found out she was pregnant with the first child and stuff, and was saying like, oh, I know you're gonna be a great mother and this. So he was saying like, what they call love bomb, saying these sweet things. Oh, I wish I can see you once again, but I don't want to be disrespectful to your husband. And then she told him, well, yeah, I hope your family is doing well. But remember, y'all, remember this, that same man who she said that assaulted her, that arred her, and she slept with after that. This is the man who she went to comfort him at Kim's memorial service. Francis, you say maybe sex her only way to escape in reality. Makes sense to me. Makes sense to me. But it's only so long. It's only so long that both her and Alex are going to be able to play this game. It's only going to be so long. I believe that they're both going to give it a good try to make, because again, remember, Alex already put in his little statement the comments of the naysayers. So the fact that he even entertained it, y'all got to peep things. The fact that in his statement, he made a comment about it, he didn't have to address that. He could have just talked about just being a support for his wife or whatever. He didn't have to address parts about people thinking like, or wondering if he's going to leave. But he first started out the letter. You all look it up, go online, and it may be out there, and type in Alex Fine's statement. And he started it out by talking about um, what people were saying, which is interesting. People always saying something. So why are you putting that in there? Because to me, he knows that men know men, just like women know women. You all, I'm speaking from a woman that I'm a woman, just like you all. Some of you all are in this chat and that can understand what I'm saying. We know how we are. So men know how men are. He knows that they are picking up the energy. He know they on point. He don't like that they on point like that, but he knows it. He knows it enough to where even in his statement, he had to start his statement out by saying something about it. So this man, you all, is going to try to work very, very, very hard to go against the naysayers. He is going to go so hard to go against it. It's going to be centered around what I can't prove them right, because they already saying this is the way it's going to end anyway. I can't let them win or whatever, even though deep down it's hard for him every day as he still continues and stays in the relationship, but he pulls his strength from the kids, and he loves Cassie, but at the same time, it's going to be hard for him to still see her the same way after he's heard and came to learn what he learned. You all, I wouldn't be surprised if after everything's said and done, or even right now, still, he won't find himself being on the internet researching things to see um, what's being said. Remember, I said at one point he was asked to leave the courtroom today. I think he's going to kind of almost like become like, what's the word, obsessed, like he's going to be wanting to know information, because now he's going to be looking at her and really questioning, do he really know his wife? Because up until this week he only knew what she told him. And how often do we ever fully tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Do we ever really fully tell somebody everything? So it is going to be very interesting, to see how things play out, really, with how long they're going to be able to keep their stuff together. How long will it be before it gets released about them being estranged, them not living together, all of that? They keep a pretty low key lifestyle. So I think because of them kind of being out the limelight like that, it could be harder, for people to really come to learn certain things like that. But we probably wouldn't probably know until probably if there's like a divorce filing, because that becomes public record versus like the separation. So it'll be like, well, once we learn, say, if about a divorce filing, then somebody will probably start speaking on or saying, well, something along the line of, well, they've been separated for X amount of time, or maybe that's going to come out in the paperwork where it'll talk about, well, how long the couple had been separated, you all. But it's just, I'm just going to say that I understand. It's a sad situation. And if it turns out the way I'm saying, I understand. For all the reasons I said, it's psychological. And it's going to be like that for both of them. It's going to be like that for both of them. There was another point I wanted to make. Something else that I was thinking about that I learned today. I can't think. It'll probably come back to me. But yeah, I mean, I think he's going to really, try to work hard, to keep his family together as he should. But he's young. He's 32, so I can see him, getting remarried again. I see him getting remarried before her. Yeah, I see him getting remarried again. And yeah, and given that she got this money while they were married, he probably would be able to walk away with half of the settlement money, or whatever that's left. He'll probably be able to walk away with half. And then I can definitely see him probably requesting to have the kids, because he's going to feel like, that they're going to be, which I believe they would be better off with him, from a psychological, if they aren't together. I think that he's the more stable just parent, just because of the trauma that Cassie went through. For no other reason than that. I just think that, yeah, he would be the more stable parent for the kids to be with, if she's still having those strong, those challenges with just functioning. Um, but it's a sad situation. It's a sad situation. Hey, Karen, how you doing? It's a sad situation, and definitely a lot to learn. A lot to learn. Let me see. Hopefully, y'all can still hear me. Let me see. Headset. Now it probably just kicked in. Can you hear me now? I think it just kicked in now. It sounded like it did at least. Okay. Yeah, it happens coming out of things, coming off the Bluetooth in the car when I get home, the sound. What I was saying, hopefully I'll keep the connection right here in my driveway. But what I wanted to say is that Cassie's parents, she comes from a military, like her grandfathers on both her dad, her mom's dad and her dad's dad both were military. So her parents were military brats. Her dad was a firefighter that retired. Her mother retired from being like a paralegal. So she came from just a regular background from Connecticut. She did dance, like she did everything like a normal kid would do. So now she's living this life, well, when she was with Diddy, where you go back. But listen, y'all, listen to this. In the trial, during the trial, right before Cassie filed lawsuit, she and Alex Fine had left LA and moved to Connecticut into the house with her parents. And she has signed up to do a tour. So I don't know if she's just gonna tour, I guess, from them songs from that one album. But Cassie was going to Cassie was going to tour again. And then when some months later, the lawsuit was filed. And then after that, she backed out of doing the tour. So to me, I feel like, I don't know. I just got to wondering if Cassie and if her and her husband, finances and things started to kind of get tight. Because remember, she's used to having been with Diddy. They got these kids. At that point, I guess they had probably like two kids. California is super expensive. Alex, remember when they got together, he was a personal trainer. Why else would y'all be trying to move in with the parents? So they're like, well, why did you move to Connecticut to go to your parents' house? She was like, oh, well, we just wanted to just have a change of scenery, change of whatever, just change of environment or whatever. So we just ended up just going to go stay with my parents. To me, I don't know. To me, it's giving. I feel like Alex and Cassie started to kind of have some financial challenges, so they moved to Connecticut. And then because look how ironic, like after she did that, she was then about to go on tour. When the last week, Cassie wasn't even trying to do no tours when Cassie had that one little album out with them songs rotating. Did y'all ever hear about anything with Cassie doing any touring, concerts, or anything like that? I do not ever remember no concert that Cassie Ventura was on. Do y'all remember Cassie ever having a concert, being a part of anybody lineup? Because however many years, damn near 20 years later, you trying to go and tour on that one little album you came out when you was um 20, or however old you was when you came out with that, 21, and now you trying to go and tour? Like, really think about it. I really think that Cassie and her husband started having some financial issues because right after she got the money from the settlement, suddenly she canceled it and she didn't want to participate with the tour anymore. So they was like, well, why did you cancel and back out of doing the tour? And then her reason, which to me makes sense, but I think it just worked out that it made sense, it just worked out. She was like, well, with everything that was going on centered around, I guess, how her name was kind of out there centered around the lawsuit and everything, it was just like too much for her mentally. No, people typically go on tour when they need money. Cassie had no reason, there was no motivation for her to have to go out there, be away from her family, and be on tour singing just me and you. Because I don't know no other song that she got. That's all I know, just me and you. Just you and me, just me and you, whatever that song called. They said she had a whole album. Don't ask me what the other songs was, what the name of them other songs was. So I feel like, yes, once they started having to be strategic and think about, damn, we need money. How we finna get to money? And then that's when this idea came about with a lawsuit. I feel like they were struggling. Because that's the only time you trying to move in with anybody mama is when you got to. Ain't nobody intentionally trying to sign up to go be in a house with they spouse's mama. Ain't nobody trying to do that. If anything, mama and them probably coming to your house because maybe they need to take you need to take care of them, help out, whatever. We ain't going to mama daddy house unless we have to. Not when we married and we got our own family. It's one thing you single, but you ain't picking up root. You ain't married with your own husband, wife, kids, and going to somebody mama house. You're not doing that. That's just what you're not doing. You're not doing that unless you have to do that. You find yourself in a situation. Cassie and that man could have easily, from wherever they was living, if they want to relocate, found a home or whatever in advance, and when they relocated or whatever, went straight into their home. It's giving that Cassie and that man were having some financial situations, and that so they had to be resourceful, strategic on how they was gonna come into some more money. And then that's when the idea was born, centered around the lawsuit. That's to me what makes sense to me. Especially the fact that she was talking about going out on tour for with what songs? What do you mean you was about to go on tour with who? Ray J? Who you going on tour with, Cassie? Ray J? I need to know who you going on tour with. Who are you going on tour with? I hadn't even seen nothing on the internet where we didn't even heard Cassie singing, humming in tunes or lullabies. But you said you was about to go on tour, so this came out this week. Did y'all any of y'all know that Cassie was gonna try to go out on tour? Pam said, I've been following. I didn't know this though. That's why I'm saying though, like, yeah, they was she was in a situation, they needed money, and so an idea came up. I've heard some people out there believe, I don't know where this came from, but some people believe that Alex Fine was the one who encouraged her. And I don't know if she came out saying it, anybody came out saying it. But it's been alleged that excuse me, he was the kind of the brainchild, the mastermind behind this idea of thank you so much, Pat. It's about good job, Sheik. Listen, Alice Fine, it's been put out there that it was his idea of with her doing this lawsuit. I done told y'all when she got with this man at 25, he was just a personal trainer. Now I don't know, personal. You got some personal trainers who, get into the money. He was just 25, so I don't know what his money was looking like. But fast forward to today, when I looked on his social media, he ain't advertising no physical personal trainer services. It looked like he doing some acting. He's trying to just make money however he can. He looked like he done some acting. I seen him on somebody runway. I didn't know he was a model. He look, Alex Fine is fine, so he fine enough to be a model, but it ain't nothing on in his social media on his Instagram to me that's giving that he's a personal trainer. So I think that just went away, I guess, maybe when him and Cassie got together, and now he got his wife, they got kids. He had to just listen. He need to bring in some money. He need to bring in some money. So that went bye bye. But now it's like they got a growing family. Now they got millions in the bank, and they're good. They're good. But yeah, yeah. I think they was having financial troubles. But even if they were okay, because it happens, like, but I'm just thinking about just the timing of things when like the lawsuit happened. Then the in the courts is coming out her oh excuse me, her getting ready to go on tour. I'm like, okay, tour? So I'm like, yeah. And I think the court they was having some money problems, and this all came about because they needed some way to get to the money because times was hard. Karen says, I can't imagine him sitting through the testimony. Okay, y'all, can y'all hear me now? I had to go get my water. Can y'all hear me? I'm back at the car. Lord, technology. Sometimes it works for you and sometimes it don't. Can y'all hear me? I'm back in the car. Can you hear me? Let me know if you can. Technology. Sometimes it's everything. Sometimes it's like, but thank you. So yeah, the judge, the courts, and the lawyers, when they were questioning Cassie about her their living situation, I think they were trying to get at that the whole situation moving in with your mama, with your man and your kids, talking about going on tour when you only have one hit song that I can remember. I only one hit song, one album. What 20 years ago? He says glitching. I'm gonna try it again with seeing if I can. Hold on. Handset. See. Let me see. Can y'all hear me? I just turned the car off again. I might end the live and start a new one if y'all still can't hear me. Can you imagine the conversation? Can y'all hear me? Can you hear me? Okay, thank you, Karen. I thought I was gonna have to. Let me move back now that we got sound. All right. I was able to turn the car off and still have sound. See, sitting in my driveway, it's bad reception, but you all couldn't hear me when I moved to the front of my house. So y'all can hear me, thank God. All right. So, um, Cassie was in a situation. She did what she did. Somebody came up with this idea of, okay, well, let's file a suit with Diddy. He did all these egregious things to you. We need some money, and we just gonna see where it goes. And she, it worked out for her. But I don't think, yes, she expected for like Pandora's box to kind of be open like that. I think that she thought that. Remember, she originally came at Diddy with the lawsuit. He didn't want to settle, and that's how it went public. See, it went public because he didn't want to settle when she first came at him with the offer. Then that's how it got out. Because remember, I told y'all at the beginning of this live, she sued the Intercontinental Hotel that a lot of you didn't know about. Did y'all know about that? Early on when I started this live, I learned today from another attorney that's been watching this case that said that Cassie sued the hotel. Remember where that beating took place in the hallway at the hotel? Cassie sued the hotel and they settled. See, that didn't hit the news. They settled. They settled. So it sounds like she probably hit them up at the same time she hit Diddy up. And Diddy, dumbass, he didn't settle. He wanted to play hardball. And when he did that, then that's when it kind of went to the media. And then everybody came to know about it. But had he settled with her, it could have kind of stayed underneath the rug because she wasn't going to be talking. But he didn't want to settle. So then now everybody knew. So then it opens Pandora's box and people just started coming out. I bet if he had to do it all over again, like, or, and go back to that time when she came at him saying, hey, I want some money, I bet he wished he would have just gave it to her. He didn't want to give it to her. So here we are. Had he gave it to her, it just was silent. They both went their separate ways. But he didn't do it. He didn't handle the situation like the hotel handled it. The hotel knew that had it would have gotten out what happened, that would have ruined their brand. That would have ruined their brand, and they knew that. So they were like, listen, we what you say you need. Because they know that they had it. They good for it. What is they got billions of dollars? It's a hotel. They like, okay, that wasn't we'd give you this money because it was worth paying her what she wanted versus ruining their brand. So that was a smart move on their behalf. Diddy effed up. He effed around, found out he effed up when he did not give her what she wanted. And that's his fault. But he's a true narcissist. Ain't no way that if this woman who you abuse came at you saying, listen, I want this. And in her following up with, if she don't get it, what she gonna do? Why would you challenge her? That just lets you know that he thought that she was dumber than what she, like, he didn't think highly of her. He didn't think that she was capable of doing what she did. Francis says he thought she was too afraid of him to put it out there. Yeah, because for years he had her fearful of him, like many people have been. But she had this I can show you better than I can tell you energy. And he didn't realize that the Cassie in that moment wasn't the same Cassie that he's had in the fetal position many of times. Hey, did y'all ever see that video that was circulating out there around? It was probably around the time when the lawsuit, when she hit him with that lawsuit where she was laying on the ground. It looks like they might have maybe been in a hotel, and she had the blanket over her head, and he had the phone, like he had his phone, he had the camera face to her, and he was talking to her and asking her to come from underneath the covers. It was like he was taunting her, and she wouldn't come from underneath the covers. Y'all see that? Did y'all ever see that? Because it was giving that she was kind of scared and hiding from him because of what he had done to her. And he knew damn well that she wasn't going to reveal or show her face or nothing from underneath that comforter. She was literally on the floor, like laying, not even on the bed. She was on the floor with a big, thick comforter over her head. Like, you know how kids would do, where they had the covers over their head and they on the floor and they hide. And you know how you would do when you were a kid. This is what Cassie big grown self was doing with Diddy, and Diddy had the phone face towards her, talking to her, said, I can't remember exactly what he was saying, but it was centered around like, Cassie, what you doing? Like, why you doing that? Come on, like, as though he was like taunting, trying to talk her out of, like, okay, come from underneath the cover, like you would like with a kid. But this was a grown woman. So now, once we learned, how he had been putting hands and feet on her, it was just like, no wonder why she was, Pam, you said you never saw that? Listen, I don't know how the heck I seen that. I seen it though. She was literally on the ground with the comforter over her head, and he's talking with the camera facing her. And he was able to do that because he knew that she wouldn't dare reveal herself for him or say anything that would show that she was abused. He knew that. He knew that. Crazy, y'all. I'll never forget that video. And I feel like it came out right after that lawsuit. And I don't know how, if there was another content creator who was, I don't know, you all, because I see so much. I live on YouTube. I see so much, but I remember seeing it, and it just made me wonder, like, what she looked like underneath that cover. And y'all, for all we know, that could have been taken that day he beat her up in a hotel when he turned his back and she took off and ran out the room. Who knows? Who knows? Karen says, don't you think she might fear for her life no matter what the verdict is when this is over? Francis says, yes, Karen, I was wondering the same thing. I was talking to my mom today. She mentioned kind of something like that too, but I think she was more so thinking about it from the perspective of the husband, Alex Fine, and him. But you sell it out. Okay. But I don't know. I don't think so. I guess it never crossed my mind, because if anything, to me it seemed like her life would have been at risk maybe back when she first came out and did the lawsuit. I would think, to me, back then it probably would have been more riskier for her, but I hadn't thought about it. But of course, yeah, I've been hearing actually more thoughts with people being concerned about the jurors. That's what I've been hearing talks of, the jurors. My mom was telling me recently was that Suge Knight had an interview with Chris Cuomo. And y'all know Suge be doing interviews. Suge Knight, who used to be over the Death Row Records, the big record label on the West Coast. So just think of him being like a Diddy as far as with power and notoriety, but for West Coast, for California, and Diddy East Coast, New York. So he did an interview, and I haven't seen it yet, but I was talking to my mom about just everything, and she was telling me yesterday that Chris Cuomo had interviewed Suge Knight, and Suge Knight was basically alluding to the idea of Puffy having the money and the power to be able to get to the jurors. or at least one, because he was like, well, yo, Chris, like all he got to do is really kind of get to one. And if that one can kind of flip the other jurors in the room by whatever they say, then there you go. He was like, you just need one. But basically, he was talking like how he understands the power that the rich, the elite, the famous have, and the things that they can do. So, so Chris was shook like what? But like he was like, yeah, like you don't think his money long enough to be able to do something like that? So I've been hearing all week talk centered around the jurors because the jurors go home every day. So I don't know what cases has it been where a juror didn't go home every day, where they just kind of stayed at a hotel. But these jurors, they go home every day. I don't know any trials where they didn't. I guess that I've followed in recent years. But people had expressed concerns about the jurors leaving every day, going home, and then coming back. So what today? Now they're home for the weekend. So just think about people who these jurors may. Hey, what's up, Veronica? People who the jurors may encounter um, before they report to court, after they report to court, on the weekends. So I'm more probably thinking probably about that versus Cassie's safety. Yeah, I think it's the jurors because right now it's the jurors who have really that ability to really be the game changer for uh, for him. Cassie was just one witness, but the jurors, like their votes, is really what's gonna make the difference. So I would more so probably wonder, what would happen or what's the likelihood of somebody getting to one of them and trying to entice them to say something to the other jurors that will have them to think about things that are more favorable for Diddy. Karen says them to I would never want to be a juror. They won't be anonymous even though they are supposed to be. Yeah. It's just a matter of time. Like I've been a juror once before, where I was the very first time I reported jury duty was the first time I was selected to be a juror. But it was for just a minor, like a traffic, like a insurance type, where a guy got hurt on a job and he wanted to sue. No, what happened? Did he? No, he got hit. He got hurt in a car accident, and the person that hit him, basically, he was like, "Listen, I can't work anymore and do my job as a painter like I once did because of my medical conditions." So it was kind of like that. So it was nothing big, but like, I mean, I experienced what it was to be a juror, so it can be kind of intense. It was very boring to me, but yeah, we just want to go. And here's the thing, you all, with being a juror, because I experienced that, we be ready to go home. We be ready to go home. So think about being a juror and you got all this information, all this stuff to listen to, and you thinking about the stuff, the appointments, the trips and things you got coming up. And listen, you ain't going nowhere. You not meeting no appointment, going on no trip, getting flued out nowhere until this case is over. Judge don't care that you already got tickets because you supposed to be going on a cruise. You going on to Vegas. Your child about to graduate. Oh, judge don't care about none of that. Judge do not care about none of that. So as a juror, what I experienced was being ready to just get through it. Okay, y'all, what we doing? Like, because we had lives. I was in the midst of like process with closing on my house at that time. So but there's a lot of moving parts. You got to go meet up with people. You got to do walkthrough. With all that stuff that comes with buying a house. And then it was a new build. Like, so it was like all these stuff that I had going on. And I had jury duty. Like, what? And my kids were young, so I had to figure out with them getting. It was not the ideal time to be doing jury duty, but that was my situation. And there was other people who had like trips that was like at the end of the week, they child's graduating high school, because it was like it was really actually this time of the year when I did it. Let me see, I closed on my house in March, so it was like March of 2018 when I did it. So it was rounding the end of the school year, so there were people who had like trips planned with their kids, graduation trip. Listen, we were all vested to come up with something. We ain't finna get this man the world. We gonna give him a little something. We finna give him some money on him to take care of his medical bills. Give him a few dollars for his pocket. and tell him he need to just find another career field. He just can't be paint no more. He got to go do something else. But it was no need to be taking this into the next following week. So I say that to say that these people who are on the jury, you get tired. It's a lot of information. Mine was boring. I don't know if people in the for the Diddy one, if they would find that one to be kind of interesting, but I know mine was boring. So, but a lot, but nonetheless, people want to go home. They just like ready to go. They just ready to go. Karen says, but Cassie is the main center person and probably the most important and the reason this started. And he's allegedly disappeared people for less, especially if he's found guilty. Well, remember the young girl, Dawn Richards, I said that got on, she ended the day today with testifying. She'll probably get back on the stand on Monday because she was only probably on the stand for probably not even 10 minutes. But she said the first time she witnessed him beating Cassie, the other people who she was there with, they were like, yo, like you ain't see nothing, you ain't hear nothing, because people come up missing. All that you said, Karen, this is what the singer, the Don Richards, that's exactly what she said on the stands of what the people who she were with, who also witnessed Diddy putting hands and feet on Cassie, that's what they said. They was like, you ain't seen nothing, you ain't heard nothing. People come up missing, they disappear, they stop breathing, like they get hurt, like no. And so they were like, so did you ever say anything or report anything? She was like, no. And she said that was in 2009 when she saw that. And she's seen other instances as well, but that was just the first one she saw. So that was like within like the first 2 years of Diddy's and Cassie's relationship. So yes, there's reason to be concerned for Cassie. Um, but right now, I'm really been more so thinking about these jurors. Karen said she very brave. Yes, she was brave. My thing is, if she was able to go that far and sue them and get $20 million, if she might as well, I mean, do this part. Because actually, what I heard too is that she wasn't subpoenaed to come and testify. She actually said, basically volunteered to testify. I learned that. Yep, she wasn't made, of course, yep. That was her choice. It was her choice to testify because basically she wanted to just be an advocate, I guess, tell her story in hopes that it can help the next person. Like she just wanted to be brave and put herself out there to in hopes that people can learn. But yes, it was centered on just her wanting to do it, not that she had to do not that she had to do it. So yeah, she's a star witness. People wondered if she wasn't pregnant, would they have saved her for last? But um, the person, it was like I don't know if they were a lawyer asked that question, but they were like, nah, I think that they wanted to start the case out strong. And she was like their main like witness. So it's almost like let's start it out strong with painting this picture of what his capabilities are. And then as the other witnesses come on in, it can kind of fill in the gaps to validate the things and to kind of put reinforcement to the things that Cassie said. So I'm like, that makes sense. So I think strategically it made more sense for Cassie to go first. Yeah, Karen's at this point, she has to go all the way and speak. Yeah, because as you talk about, like people say, like a lot of times to protect yourself when it's something like serious, your best bet is to probably keep talking because all eyes are on you. So because she spoke and she's with talking, people are, like you all are having, in the chat, like, oh, wondering if she's going to be good. Is her safety okay? By her talking, it has people to be watching to make sure, okay, is she good? She's still here with us because she's out there. She's talking. She's talking. Now, I don't know, like, now after she's done her part centered around all of this, like what's next for her, because to me she lives a quiet life. So she did ask in her statement, you all can Google her statement and see if it's out there. She just asked for privacy for her and her family. She's getting ready any day to have her baby.
I don't follow her. Some of you all may follow her, but I imagine, she'll continue to post. When I went to her and her husband's social media, it seemed like they regularly, they do posts of themselves and their families. So I would imagine, they'll, say for safety purposes, it's best that they continue to do that so people know, okay, they still alive, well, and kicking because they're still making social media posts. Because nowadays, y'all, a lot of times people learn when somebody not good anymore when they no longer post. They call that, do they call it like social media DNA or something? It's some term they use. But a lot of times that's how people take notice when somebody's not good, when suddenly their internet activity cease. I've I've saw that happen in like plenty of times where it's like that was kind of like the confirmation that something wasn't good with somebody because you didn't see them post, especially when you know that they're used to posting and then now suddenly they're not posting and you're like, wait a minute, what happened? Why aren't they posting anymore? Like y'all, I need for them to ask in this trial what the heck that girl, what's her name? Was her name Ava? Y'all remember the little white girl that Diddy said he adopted during the pandemic 2020, and he had her on Instagram on live. I didn't even, y'all, I missed all that during that time. I'm late to the party. I did not hear about her, I think, until when the Cassie came out suing him. And people started talking about the little white girl. I'm like, what little white girl? They're like, you didn't see. They were like, during the pandemic, he would do lives and he would show this little white girl. And then so I ended up seeing the clip. Did y'all see it? And I think her name is Ava, and her last name kind of sound like an Italian name. But he had her talk, and she was like the age of the twins, and he had all his kids there, and they were taking turns saying their name and they zodiac signs. Y'all know how usually when you trying to doggone put yourself out there. I'm single. Hey, I'm chic. I'm single. I'm 44. My zodiac sign Scorpio. Like people was like, what is he doing? Is he advertising? But he had the girl Ava, and they were like, well, how you get her? He was like, yeah, and he was trying to tell a story of how he came about find her and he brought her home for it was crazy, y'all. Child, we ain't seen Ava in years. Where is Ava? Where is she? I think that is her name. Why I'm calling her Ava. That's what we calling her today. Where is Ava? Where is she? And I'm hoping during this trial that question is asked over and over again because I don't want him, say if he go up the river, up the creek, I don't want him leaving still with us not knowing where this young girl is because nobody has found her. People have been looking for her for a really long time, for some years. People been asking about her. Where is she? Where is Ava? Because he gonna say I don't know when he has said he adopted her. This your child. Like where is she? Like what do you mean you don't know? What happened to her? Where is she? So allegedly the reason why the girls stopped showing up to um the trial, they were there maybe like the first 2 days, but it said that they're getting ready for graduation season because the twins are graduating. Chance, the other sister, the older, she's older by some months, y'all. She's just completed, would have completed her first year in college. So she's like older than the twins. Like, I guess she's probably like 6 months older than the twins because I think that, yeah, they were all born. Chan's birthday's in June. She's about to be 19. The twins turned 18 in December. So they're in graduation season. So supposedly the reason why they hadn't been at the trial is because they're preparing for that. So I guess, I'm like, well, that makes sense. It's graduation season. So Diddy's not going to be able to be there to see the girls graduate. I don't know what the deal is with his mama because I didn't see or hear anything about her. I seen this morning with the boys, his sons getting out of an SUV together. People said all the other days there was always a van that they would get out, and then grandmama will be with them, but Janice wasn't there. I didn't see her get out. I don't know how she got there. She did arrive later, but she didn't arrive with her grandsons. It was just the three. It was that what's their name? Quincy, Christian, and Justin. I saw those three get out the truck today. I heard earlier this week Kim Porter's dad was at the trial. I hadn't heard that one, but yes, apparently earlier this week, Kim Porter's father was at the trial, and allegedly him and Diddy mama had a change of word, had some words and got into it. Don't know. People wondering if he heard some crazy stuff. about Janet's son, and he started asking her, how the hell, who raised him? What did you do to him at the home to have him cutting up like this? I don't know, y'all, what the argument is about, if there was an argument, but it's alleged that Kim Porter's dad, he was there earlier during the week at the start of the trial, and him and Janice kind of had some words, and he ain't been back. He has not been back. So just imagine what he was hearing Cassie talk about that happened to him. Y'all think this man would wonder what happened with his daughter? If another woman up there talking about what had happened with her by the same man that your daughter was with, it makes sense to me for daddy to be wondering what was popping off with his daughter when she was around. I'm just saying. At this trial, people was hearing all kinds of stuff. I think everybody was deep in thought. Everybody was in deep in thought. They was like, one day, the twins, the girls, not just the twins, Chan's too, the twins and the sister, they got up and stepped out because it was just too much. It was of what was being said. It was maybe like the first or second day um, of the trial, and they was hearing whatever they was hearing, and it just got too much, and they got up and dismissed themselves, and then they came back in. So they didn't stay gone, but whatever that was being talked about, I think it was just details, sexual things that was being said about, centered around the things that would take place um, at the freak offs with their father and other people, men, women, whoever. Because I don't even know, y'all, if I finished going through the list of people. There's some men witnesses. The witnesses going to be consistent of men and women on coming up to testify. Because we already heard one man earlier this week testify. But from my understanding, there are going to be more to come. There are more men to come that's going to be testifying, and it'll be against P. Diddy. So stay tuned. Y'all, it's a lot been going on. I said, what's going on with these men? And yeah, I don't know if y'all been tapped in with Haley Bailey, Little Mermaid and DDG, because he was apparently putting hands and feet and stuff on her too. So that came out this week. I'm like, oh, MG. Listen, I can't do this. It's too much going on. And I'm trying to keep up with these tariffs and this president and what he trying to do and who he trying to fly out. It's a lot going on. Crook said, free Diddy and Chris Brown. Yes, Chris Brown. Thanks for that reminder. Listen, Cooks, how about I got Chris Brown tickets? Chris Brown is supposed to, I've seen Chris Brown in concert multiple times. Great. He puts on a great show. I'm in Atlanta. He puts on a great show, and y'all know everybody come through Atlanta. But he is supposed to be back here in Atlanta. I think it was August 31st. And yeah, I'm supposed to be at the concert. Me and I have sisters, my sisters. So usually we do the concert thing together. So one of my sisters, about a month ago, got our ticket. So it was thousands. Like, yo, she was like I think she said she was number 3 in the queue with purchasing the tickets. And by the time she bought the tickets, got out, it was like 26,000 people in the queue. Those tickets sold out immediately, and they instantly added a second show. So Chris Brown has this tour that's supposed to start June 5th. But peep this, y'all. The courts, he in UK, he in jail. His court date isn't until June 13th. I done told y'all the concert start June 5th. Concert start June 5th. Court date June 13th. Houston, we have a problem. The judge them said, you cannot be, no, you ain't getting granted no bail. You a flight risk. You stay here. You stay here until this court date. And y'all, we don't know what's gonna pop off when the court date happened, because this incident with him happened in 2023. So this ain't even no new stuff. Like when I first heard it, I'm like, Lord Jesus, Chris out here still wilding. But y'all know this happened in 2023, so this is old. When he was in the UK, that's when they caught up with him. They came to his hotel. He had did a social media post talking about free Tory Lanez or something. And Cooks, why you didn't say free Tory Lanez? You don't think Tory Lanez need to be out? You trying to free everybody else. Chris was like free Tory Lanez, and next thing you know, somebody then came up knocking on his door, apprehended him. So now we on the free Chris Brown tip. It done went from free Tory Lanez to free Chris Brown. Free Chris Brown and Tory Lane. So Chris Brown now locked up, y'all, in the UK over busting a man over in the head with a bottle of Don Julio. Is that Don Julio? Is that the name of it? Yes, at a club in 2023. The guy said that Chris and his entourage beat him up, basically. Chris hit him with the bottle. Once he hit the ground, Chris started kicking him. I think Chris people started kicking him. And I don't know if he just fled the scene. What happened as to why he wasn't dealt with that day? Because it was the guy ended up the guy is a producer, music producer. The guy ended up in the hospital. He said when he got hit in the bottle and knocked him out, but even while he was knocked out, like they were still beating him. I would imagine since it was in a club, there's video footage and everything. I never heard nothing about no warrant, but I guess because it's in the UK, it just didn't. I didn't hear about it. I don't even remember about the incident. But I guess Chris left and came back home to the U.S. and didn't go back. I don't know what made him go back to that country if he done forgot he hit that man upside the head and them folks probably looking at for him. But he messed around and went back over there and did a social media post. And y'all know, basically, he dropped his location. They was able to tell because he probably tagged and said where he was at, where he was staying. Listen, them people, them UK police popo came and rolled up on him. And Chris is locked up at least until May 13th, his court date. So that means he is not out preparing for a tour. Y'all know he be dancing, doing two steps, flips, cartwheel splits. Y'all know he do it all. I've seen him. He does it all and do it all very well. He can't be practicing doing none of that. He locked up. It is estimated, projected that he's standing to lose probably about 30 million if he missed dates or even all of this tour. So depending on how the verdict work out for him, because I don't know how long they can possibly keep him in jail, like what kind of charges he's facing over there. But like I said, my concert that I'm supposed to be going to is August. He go to court in June. That's just 2 months later. And given he done did all this to this man, and then it took them 2 years to catch up with him, I don't see why they wouldn't try to get that man some type of jail time over there. I'm just saying. I don't know if he can phone a friend, if Trump can help get him out. I think years ago, Trump maybe helped ASAP Rocky or somebody who was in another country. I don't know if they was in Dubai. Y'all remember that? It was another rapper that got caught up in something. It might have been ASAP Rocky. It was years ago. And I think it was in like Dubai. He was somewhere, but Trump kind of made a phone call, helped him get back. So Chris Brown in the whole situation, he gonna mess around and be like, what's that basketball player that was over there? Y'all, what's her name? And she was locked up over there for what, over a year. Y'all know who I'm talking about? That basketball player, the black girl, the tall girl. She a lesbian. She got a wife. She real fair skinned. She was a prisoner. She went through the airport and she had like the vape or something. Brittany Grimes. Thank you, Dr. J. Y'all remember this Brittany Grimes situation? See, that's why I say, like, I'm just like, I'm okay with visiting other countries, but I don't really have the desire to call another country home because to me, I feel like in other countries with their laws and things, it's more strict to me, I feel like, than they are here in the US. And I feel like, well, hell, at least at home in the US, I kind of know what I'm working with. I know the rules. I know what to do, not to do. Whereas when I go to these other places, like, I don't know how they roll. I know nowhere on this globe I can be hitting somebody with a bottle. So I don't know what kind of stuff, what type of times Chris was on. But what I'm saying is that, like, when you go to these countries, like, you got to deal with whatever the consequences are over there. Like, we don't have, like, we can't be trying to run over there, tell them what kind of verdict they can give somebody. Like, no. In rare situations, our government can, make a phone call and try their best to pull some strings. But y'all, even to get Brittany Griner back, we had to trade out a whole terrorist. People was pissed off about that because they like, okay, she wasn't worth all of that. Yes, y'all, we traded like this. They was like, yo, if y'all want her, y'all need to give us him. If y'all want her, we gonna need y'all to give us him. And they did it. Biden was like, bet. And he released the man. And the man was like a terrorist. Took lies and everything. But that's what he did to get Britney back. So I don't know what they gonna be willing to trade for Chris Brown. I don't know if Trump gonna be willing to do some trades for Chris Brown. Because normally they say the US don't negotiate. Like, we don't do stuff like that. But we did it We did it for Brittany Grimes. And here's the thing. We already had some American like people over there that was locked up. There was this guy that was over there, and they negotiated and got Brittany home before him. Sure did. That man was still sitting over there. I don't know if he finally made it back home, but he had been over there before Brittany got caught up with something. I don't know if he was a journalist, something he got caught up in, but he had been over there for a little minute. And then when Brittany go over there, it's like Eric. The world had to stop, and they had to work out something to get her back. And what, a year or so later, however long after she was over there, they brought her back while that man was still over there. Yeah. So I don't know what they finna be willing to do for Chris Brown. I don't know if Trump a Breezy fan. Hopefully Trump a Breezy fan. Hopefully his grandbabies, his grandkids, somebody a Breezy fan that'll be like, Grandpa, Papa, can you help bring Chris Brown back? Because yeah, so he's going to having to do some refunds for them tickets, because the show would be canceled because of him, not you know, the people who bought the tickets. So that's gonna be a lot of money, and I'm just gonna go on record to say the tickets were not cheap. If you want an idea of how much the Chris Brown tickets are, think about the Usher residency and what those tickets was looking like. That's what Chris Brown tickets are. I'm like, when my sister, I'm like, hell, this giving Chris Brown Usher residency prices, because I saw Usher in Vegas too during his residency, and that was still the most I'd ever paid for concert ticket. Chris Brown's ticket was right up there. Karen says, I do think they got that. I hope so, but he showed Brittany dang sure jumped the line. Brittany Grimes came home before him. I know that. I know that. I remember that. She came home before him. So, but yeah, it's tough. It's tough. With just right now, it's a lot of people that are down bad, but a lot of people just bring on things themselves, the nonsense. And I don't know what Chris was doing 2 years ago. I'm sure today he's in a better place, but sometimes things catch up with you, and you're not dealt with at that moment, but later down the line you're dealt with. DDG knows better than anyone. Right now he's been dealt with. He can't even see his son because his baby mom, Haley Bailey, the black Little Mermaid, if you want to know who she was the Little Mermaid, the black girl that played the Little Mermaid in the Disney movie. He has a child with her. He's a rapper and an influencer, content creator, whatever you want to call him. They have a child together, and she has alleged that he has been verbally and physically abusive to her and in front of their child. Yeah. And the judge recently granted her court order for the restraining order. So he is not allowed to be within 100 feet of her. And right now, he is not allowed to see their son. Play stupid games. What? Win stupid prizes. So what we do, it has consequences. And she has pictures of the bruises. She has ring cameras. She has her receipts. She has her receipts. So they have a court date, I think, in June as well. Listen, June gonna be a busy month. Listen, this channel might turn into the the misfits, where I talk about the misfits, the court cases, because you got DDG. He got his court case coming up in June, centered around the I guess the custody situation with Halo. Their son name is Halo. They have the custody situation because right now he doesn't have access to the baby. That's a part of her restraining order. So he cannot see his son. So he will not see his son no sooner than that court date in June. And within her documents, it said that she's asking for him to be limited to seeing the son maybe like once a week for maybe, I think, maybe 6 hours, and for him to not be able to, or I think it's already been granted, he's not allowed to say her name or their son's name, Halo, on his in any of his internet content. He's not allowed to publicly in his content where you can make money. He's not allowed to say either one of their names. So, like I said, more of the story is sometimes you think you did something and you got away with it until you come to realize that you didn't. Because you're not always dealt with when you do certain things. Sometimes you're dealt with later, like Chris Brown. Chris Brown is dealing with something that he did 2 years ago when he probably was, y'all know, as there was a point Chris was drinking on drugs, whatever. Chris looks good right now. He looks very healthy. He's probably in a really good space right now. But look what he's having to deal with. He's still got to deal with the demons from his past. Even though he's like, yo, I'm not that person no more. But he still got to deal with the consequences, face the consequences of what he did when he was that person. And just like with DDG, these allegations of abuse onto Haley Bailey, um, they go back from like last year. Some say even, I think it said where she said he was abusing her even before she even got pregnant. So some of these allegations isn't for things that took place like recently. There were some things that took place recently, but it's almost like it's the buildup. It's the buildup. It's the buildup. So he has to deal with all of that. He has to deal with all that. So he'll learn in June, I guess, expectations from him, from the judge as to how he's supposed to show up in the life of his son. Child support, that's going to be a thing because I don't think he's been paying like child support. He probably just been taking care of the son. He takes care of the son when he has him. She takes care of him when she has him. A lot of parents do that. No child support. It's not always needed to have child support on record. But it seems like now she's going, she's requesting that there'll be ordered child support. Yeah, so she's just trying to keep her distance from him. And you all, it just started. Well, I'm not going to let me backtrack. It didn't start. The straw that broke the camel's back was on Mother's Day when she said that while she was on vacation with her son and her sister, and I think it maybe was, I don't know, a cousin, another person there, but they was out of the country. I seen pictures floating around of her and her sister in little swimsuits looking real cute and stuff. And he started texting her, accusing her of being out the country on vacation with another guy. He's and she's just like, yo, no, I'm not. Stop harassing me. And you all, this was on Mother's Day. He was doing this on Mother's Day. So that was the straw that broke the camel's back to where after that she was like, yo, I can't do this no more. You're doing too much. Like, I done dealt with all your foolishness, and now on Mother's Day you doing this. Then I got something for you, player. Just sit right there. Just sit right there. I got something for you. Bam. And then what I learned, you all, is that how he came to learn about the restraining order and all of that was through social media, through TMZ, how the world came to know. He was like literally doing like some live streaming with this other guy. And then the other guy came across the TMZ, I think, report came across his phone. And he went to go show DDG. So I'm hearing about it, y'all. I still haven't seen it for myself. Someone kind of was telling me about it. They were like, yo, like they were literally filming content. The guy who DDG was with had, was looking on his phone, and in a TMZ, something came across his phone saying that Haley had put a restraining order against DDG. So he went and showed his boy, like anybody would, like, yo, you know about this? And DDG was like, this gotta be a joke. But y'all, that's how he came to learn that Haley had put them papers on him. When we came to learn, when many of the people in the world came to learn, that's how he came to learn. So they was like, yo, he was looking real crazy. He was looking real crazy. So I haven't, this is me kind of, it's been a busy week. I've been super busy. So this is just in regards to that situation of what I've learned, what took place. Today was just all about the Diddy trial because I was just so engulfed in that, with listening to people talk about that. So I was like, oh, let's come out here and talk about it. And then Another court case, well, it's not one that's going on right now, but people are trying to open it back up, is a situation between Megan the Stallion and Tory Lanez. So Tory Lanez, remember, Tory was a singer, and Megan the Stallion, a rapper. They got into it, had a disagreement. What, about 3-4 years ago, and she alleged, as a result, following that falling out, Megan said she was shot in the foot, and she pointed the finger at Tory Lanez. Tory Lanez says, I did not do it. However, Tory Lanez never dropped a name as to who did it. He just said he didn't do it. So here's the kicker, y'all. Why I find out today that Tory Lanez's lawyers then back then put this witness on the stand. I guess there was this guy who lived in that area where apparently the shooting took place, and he said he heard whatever outside of his apartment window, and he looked out the window trying to see what's going on. Y'all, how about Tory Lanez's team's own witness, which is this guy, the damn got on the stand and said, well, I didn't see who shot the gun, but I saw that the gunshot came from the passenger side. Whatever he said, basically, it was basically directing the attention to Tory Lanez. This was they witness. How you not knowing what your witness is about to say? I was done. I was done. So Tory got a petition going on right now, y'all. Y'all might end up seeing it. Free Tory Lanez, where he's wanting to, I think, be pardoned, be released due to new evidence. But it said it really is not new evidence. It's just they're wanting to bring in evidence that they didn't, like the driver at the time, he didn't testify. He was apparently out of the country, and they didn't want to wait for him to come back, Tory's team, because it would have delayed the trial to like around the holidays. So they decided to move forward without him. Now that driver is now coming out saying he's ready to speak his truth, and basically Tory didn't shoot Megan, her best friend Kelsey did. So that is what's been said now, centered around that, and everybody's like, what? Like, I personally sit on the side of, I never felt like Tory shot Megan. I never felt like he did. I used to do celebrity content back then on, yeah, this channel. I have two channels. So on this channel, I used to cover, like earlier on when I started YouTube, I would cover celebrity news, and I talked about the case. You might can go deep diving in my videos and find the video where I talked about, and I covered the whole Megan Thee Stallion, Tory Lanez. There's probably maybe a couple of multiple videos. But anyway, I never really believed that Tory did it. I was one of those. I still don't believe he did it. I believe Kelsey did it. I believe the best friend did it. I believe because Megan, she said Tory did, but they didn't really bring into the trial DNA of like anybody else, like to be considered. It was just only all eyes on Tory, even though he wasn't the only one on the scene. So I still don't believe that he did it. But anyway, recently Tory was stabbed. He got into a fight with a guy in the prison, a Mexican guy who's, I think, in there for, he got a life sentence. I don't know if he killed some people, whatever, but it's a Latino guy, and he stabbed apparently Tory 14 times. So Tory wound up in the hospital, nearly losing his life. Apparently he's now awake and he's talking. He's in pain, but it's looking like he's going to pull through. But many believe that he's not going to survive a 10-year sentence in prison, because he's in prison somewhere in Southern California. But many believe he's not going to survive a 10-year sentence in prison. He's already now, I think, been in there maybe like a year. Seems like it's been longer than that. But he has a 10-year sentence. And so his dad is advocating for him. I think his attorney, people are out here advocating for him to be released, be pardoned, whatever. And so apparently there's a petition going around. I haven't seen it cause I've heard about it. I haven't seen the petition myself, but today I heard another attorney talking about the case, and she mentioned that there's a petition going around where you can sign it, and it's in support of getting him out of jail. So, me being me, I went to Megan Thee Stallion's Instagram and her former best friend Kelsey's Instagram to see what the people are saying. And sure enough, when I went into the comments on like their pictures and the posts and stuff, it's just like people are kind of just going in on them about the situation, calling them both liars. Like it just, I went to see if that was taking place because I'm like, with this new information, I'm like, I'm pretty sure the people are giving both of those ladies the business. And yes, sure enough, if you go to Megan Thee Stallion's Instagram and Kelsey's Instagram, I don't know what Kelsey's Instagram name, but if you type in Megan Thee Stallion Kelsey, Kelsey's information will come up for you to be led to her social media accounts. But yeah, people are not here for Tory Lanez, in his situation and in this information that's been coming out with the driver now being brave enough to tell the truth because he said, he was fearful before, but now, given that this man nearly lost his life and then the fact that he's in jail for something he didn't do, now this is what this driver was saying. The fact that he's in jail for something he didn't do, I have to tell the truth. Tory did not do it. He said Kelsey shot the gun. Tory, when he slapped the gun out of her hand, then the gun went off, I think he said 2 more times. So my guess is, yeah, when it went off those times and hit the ground, then that's when it kind of, I don't know if Megan got hit when it hit the ground or if allegedly Kelsey shot the gun and then Tory hit it and went off. So don't know the full details center on that. But what the driver is saying is that Kelsey had the gun, Tory hit the gun out of her hand, and then the gun went off 2 times. But what I was hearing, it didn't say which time did it hit Megan in that situation. So the people got questions. The people, but all I did see on Megan Thee Stallion's Instagram, she has a new swimsuit line coming out that she's launched. That's supposed to hit this summer. For I think she calls it the hotties swimwear. She calls her supporters her hotties. So she has really cute like swimsuits. It was just I seen a picture with her and some ladies just wearing some pink swimsuits, but they was basic, but I don't know if she gonna have some patterns or anything, but it was just some swimsuits. So she's gonna have a swimwear line that's supposed to hit this summer called the Hotties. So if you rock with Megan like that, and you want you a little swimsuit, you can go follow her and learn how you can support her. But that's what she has going on in the midst of all of this. In the midst. So I hit y'all with a lot of news tea today. Like, share, and subscribe. It's a lot going on. I'm going to continue to listen. I don't know. It's going to be a struggle with trying to keep up with this Diddy trial, plus, with this stuff on my other channel with the politics. Ooh, it's a lot because I have a lot to come back to you all on my second channel. She speaks on it. So if you're interested in discussion centered around politics and the things, the economy, just the things that are impacting just the USA and just the world right now. Really, it's not even just the USA being impacted by a lot of what's going on. The world, the world is being impacted by these tariffs. So you can follow me over on my second channel. She speaks on it, and we get to it. We get to it. So definitely follow me over there. I hope to come back. Come out, do a live this weekend. My daughter has soccer tournaments tomorrow. So I'm going to try to come back Sunday, maybe, on my second channel or somewhere. I'm going to try to get it in. Y'all just make sure you like, share, and subscribe so you know when I go live, because I know I don't really be doing a lot of pre-scheduling. I kind of just hit the button and just start talking. But actually, I had this one scheduled. I normally don't do that, but I did have this live scheduled. So y'all stay tuned. Stay tuned. I like to say, go out into the world, show up in a way in which you want others to show up for you. Like attracts like. Take care of yourselves and one another. Heavy on the taking care of yourselves. So often we taking care of everybody and neglecting ourselves. So take care of yourself. And I'm Chic. Mental health is everything. So figure out what it is that makes you feel good about life and just do more of that. Make sure it's healthy. Be productive. Until next time, I'll catch you all on the next broadcast.